Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my new or updated patrons, Brian A and Lucian W. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. First up today, a new Model X variant was spotted in the Tesla source code. Now, to be fair, this has since been removed, so this could have been an accident and this is definitely not a guarantee. However, it would have been for a standard range variant costing around $105,000. So don't hold your breath, but I thought it was worth sharing. We got some interesting comments from Kui Dong-shu, who is the Secretary General of the CPCA, the China Passenger Car Association, so these comments do carry some weight. He said from January to March of this year, the trend of the new energy vehicle market was much stronger than that of the traditional fuel vehicles, showing a feature of structural growth. The rupture of the supply chain system has nearly halved the retail business for April. According to data, retail sales in the first week fell 32% year over year, 39% in the second week, and 46% by the third week of April. He said, generally speaking, the resumption of work and production is at an extremely low level, once again because many of the suppliers have not yet resumed production. However, he had some good news about Tesla, saying after Tesla expands production in June of this year, the monthly output is expected to increase from 60 to 70,000 units per month up to 80 to 90,000, which on the high end would be a 1.08 million unit run rate per year. And he is expecting a strong second half of the year, saying we believe a large amount of production capacity will begin to be gradually released, which will form a super pooling effect. Essentially, there's going to be pent-up demand from Q2 that will hit the books in the second half of this year, paired with Tesla's expansion of the factory, and we should see very strong numbers in the back half of this year. And on that note, we got this vague report from investing.com saying Giga Shanghai has resumed over 80% of production, and now Shanghai has greenlisted about 1,800 different companies, many of which are indeed suppliers for the auto industry, which of course will help Giga Shanghai get back to 100% capacity. The issue here is it's anyone's guess what this 80% is of. Is it of Tesla's max output, which previously was around 70,000 units per month, which would have Tesla at a monthly run rate of around 56,000? Is it 80% of a certain line? Nobody really knows, but there you have it. This morning, Tesla filed an amendment to its 10K, basically saying they're going to delay releasing their definitive proxy statement. This form is typically referred to as a DEF 14A, and it just has a lot more information for the shareholders to go off of when they're expecting an upcoming vote, like they are with the Tesla stock split that should be expected sometime later this year. In terms of delaying the actual annual stockholder meeting, Tesla has done it the last 2 years, but that was because of COVID, so why are they delaying it this year? It could be any number of reasons, so I'm not going to speculate on that. We'll just have to wait a little bit longer to get the details on the Tesla stock split. What this means is that rather than Tesla getting back to its regular schedule of having the annual stockholder meeting over the summer, once again this year it may be pushed back into the fall. And once again, per the usual, too many people online are making this a bigger deal than it has to be. Not everything that happens has to be a bearish or a bullish event. This is one of those things that's just a thing. And for whatever it's worth, Tesla did the exact same thing last year. They delayed the definitive proxy statement, ended up releasing it in August, and the annual shareholder meeting was held in October. Listen to this stat. In Q1 in California, there were about 67,000 BEVs sold. Of those, Tesla sold 78%. And looking at this chart, it's a great reminder of how important California has been to the EV movement. Now, these do include plug-in hybrid vehicles. However, look at the cumulative sales data over the last 11 years. Nationally, about 2.6 million EVs sold, and over the same time, California accounted for 1.1 million of those, almost half. The actual figure is 43%, and if you bump down to the first quarter numbers, do the math, California now with a market share of 39%. So finally, the rest of the country is stepping up a little bit and widening the gap between the US cumulative sales and those from California. The main takeaway here though, according to the California Air Resources Board, California sales fluctuate between 40 and 50% of national EV sales. Just an anecdote from Morton, who tracks Tesla ships from Shanghai to Europe. Tesla ships situation to Europe not looking great. No confirmed Tesla ships are currently sailing to Europe. So if you're over in the EU expecting a made in China delivery in May, you may be waiting a bit longer. Of course, with all of the disruptions at Giga Shanghai over the past month, maybe this is a case of Tesla wanting to fulfill local demand before putting cars on ships to send them to Europe. And for whatever it's worth, the average ship usually carries around 3,500 Teslas. So I've linked up with CharityStars, the sponsor of today's video, to bring you the chance to win a brand new 2022 Model S Plaid. Many of you know CharityStars is a fundraising platform that helps raise money for charitable causes. To enter the sweepstakes, head to CharityStars.com/Electrified250 and use coupon code Electrified250 to get 250 free entries with your purchase. Donations this time around will benefit One Tree Planted, a company fighting deforestation and helping the environment by doing exactly what the name would imply. And do I really need to say anything about this vehicle? Arguably one of the best cars ever produced and a family sedan with great storage that's also quicker than just about any production car on the planet, and it's equipped with a screen for the kids or your backseat passengers. Entering the sweepstakes is a breeze. Just head to CharityStars.com/Electrified250, choose your donation level, enter a minimal amount of information, and boom, you're in. And remember, your purchase will help One Tree Planted. Best of luck. Pretty exciting news here, as a Model S Plaid has become the first EV to ever win a round at the One Lap Race of America. This is an annual race essentially based on time trials, and for this specific event at this one track that this Model S Plaid won, it was awarded 420 points. So one could say that this Tesla has smoked the competition. As mentioned, this One Lap of America is a set of time trials at racetracks across the country with overnight road trips between the tracks, which means yes, all of these cars have to be street legal. A minimum of 2 drivers are required, and the cars have to run on one set of street tires for the entire event. This event is actually sanctioned by the National Auto Sport Association, and since 2013, the benefits have gone to the Alzheimer's Association. And with this victory, the Plaid is currently sitting in 9th place overall with 1,360 points through 4 events, only 215 points behind the leader, a 2019 Chevy ZR1 with 1,575 points. As always, be careful what you read, as World of Science, an account with over 2 million followers, said, interestingly, when it comes to the storage of surplus energy, the scientists lean toward hydrogen, as hydrogen can also be used to create ammonia for fertilizers when combined with nitrogen. Elon replies, not true. Overwhelmingly, the world will choose batteries. And if you've been looking for investment advice from Elon, here you go. Since he's been asked a lot, buy stock in several companies that make products and services that you believe in. Only sell if you think their products and services are trending worse. Don't panic when the market does. This will serve you well in the long term. He continues, decisions are being made on behalf of actual shareholders that are contrary to their interests. Major problem with index and passive funds. And pause if you'd like to read Peg's reply, but Elon said right before Jack Bogle died, he said index and passive funds were too great a percentage of the market, and he really knew what he was talking about. There should be a shift back towards active investment. Passive has gone too far. Now, as a former financial advisor, I have many opinions on this topic. However, too many to plug into this video, so this will be on my list of Patreon videos to come. Here we have an awesome infographic from Benchmark Mineral Intelligence highlighting China's dominance of the processing of key minerals. Note, this is not mining data, this is the processing of those raw materials, the step in between the mining and the final product. I mean, guys, look at these numbers. For nickel, cobalt, graphite, lithium, and manganese, China is accounting for over 59% of the processing for each material. And what's equally alarming is the data for the United States. The highest number that it has is 4% for lithium, everything else essentially 0 or 1%. And scrolling down, it's the same story for the cathode and the anode. And then overall for the lithium battery cell manufacturing, China 79% and the US and EU both at 7%. This is crucial data because yes, the mining of these materials is going to be limited to the geographies where you can actually find those materials. So that's limited to some degree. However, the processing of these materials, there are really no limitations other than regulations and permitting and building out the infrastructure to get these processing facilities set up here in the States, which is what we desperately need. A quick note here, if you're expecting a long-range delivery of your Model 3, somebody on the Tesla Motor Club's forum put together this chart, and this is just one anecdote of one truck unloading Model 3s. However, after April 25th, all of the long-range Model 3s had the old headlights, not the new Matrix style lights. So too early to tell if this is a trend or just one batch, and honestly, the current functionality of the Matrix and the old style reflector are essentially the same, but it's the updates in the future performance that it should be much better for the Matrix style lights once Tesla updates the software. There are more and more videos out there of people in the United States testing out the new CCS1 adapter. Many of these people are indeed buying it from Korea, so if you're interested in doing something like that, I will share a Reddit thread linked below if you want to read through the instructions of how to do so. Remember, before you buy one, you have to check to see if your Tesla is compatible with the CCS charging. Most of the older models, prior to 2021 are not. There might be an ECU upgrade or a retrofit available. In Europe, I believe it was a couple $100s. But remember, none of this is actually official in the United States, as Tesla is still working on making some improvements. Last week, Lexus confirmed in its all-new electric Lexus RZ, there's going to be no mechanical link, so yes, with their yoke, they are bringing steer-by-wire technology. This means no conventional steering column, rather the electrical connection is going to be used to send input from the steering wheel to the actual wheels. The steering ratio will be variable depending on the speed. Basically, steer-by-wire requires less effort from the driver. This one in particular will have only a 150-degree turn radius of the yoke, meaning there is no need for hand-over-hand turning. This is the technology that most of us are hoping Tesla implements with the Cybertruck. A quick note, on May 9th, the lockup period for Rivian stock will be over, so that means 800 million shares will effectively be unlocked and those holders will be able to sell. Now, to be fair, this doesn't have to mean negative things for Rivian stock. For example, a few years ago when Meta went through this, its stock was down about 6% in the week leading up to the expiration, but then 1 month removed from the expiration, the stock was actually up 40%. It's expected that Toyota is going to cross the 200,000 EVs sold threshold, meaning their EV credit is going to be phased out, and by October of 2023, it could be at zero, as now every 6 months, once it's hit, it's going to be halved. Toyota would join GM and Tesla as the only two other automakers in the US to have reached that mark, and the next two would most likely be Ford and Nissan, as at the end of 2021, they had both sold around 160,000 EVs each. I'm sharing this last one because a good friend of mine has gotten me hooked on F1. If you're into engineering at all, you would most likely love F1 if you take the time to get into it. It's super interesting, and these vehicles are engineering masterpieces, and it's an incredibly interesting sport. Either way though, Audi and Porsche are looking to join Formula One, which is a huge deal for the sport, but it will probably take a few years. If any of you are F1 fans, please let me know below. Don't forget, check out CharityStars linked in the description below. Like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.